I think this is an important topic to get into in light of recent events, and I think that this is going to be very helpful to a lot of you. So I want to get into how to know you have an open heart and why it's really important, especially as the feminine or a woman, to be in touch with her heart. It's really important to develop this, I guess you could say, skill in terms of opening up your heart, because when you open up your heart, you're able to feel emotions that tap into your vulnerability. And not only is it beautiful to be able to feel, it is very attractive to men. So men really are gravitated towards women that have an open heart. Now, how do you know you have an open heart? And I'm going to tie in a little bit about what's going on in the world, but I'm not going to get into it too much here. You can follow me on Instagram for that. It's a little bit more personal there, but I want to just get into a little bit of what is going on in the world, because this sort of helps us to tap into our own emotions and our own heart. So when we have an open heart, what happens, and this is sort of the downside, I guess, of having an open heart, is we feel, right? We feel, we feel everything. And there's a difference between feeling at an egoic level, and there's a difference between feeling from a heart, from a heart space. It's completely different. So I kind of want to explain that to you. So when we have an open heart, our feminine side is activated, right? So as I always say to you guys, we have a masculine and feminine component to each of us, and even men have a feminine aspect to them. So their feeling body is the emotional side, which is the feminine side, right? When we are in a feminine body, so let's say let's just say we're female, ideally that aspect of us is going to be more awake, more activated than if we're a man, right? So a man that's in his masculine energy is also going to have a connection to his heart, because if you're a healthy man, you're also going to be in touch with your emotions and intuition. This is how men always know when they've met the one, right? It's a feeling, right? It's a feeling. They just know. That means that they're also activated in their feeling space, which is their feminine. They're going to be leading more with their masculine component. So the feelings and the emotions are going to have some sort of structure. Whereas with the feminine, and when a woman is tapped into her heart, there's no real structure for her feelings, right? Her feelings are deep, and she feels very strongly, and can, is really able to connect to her heart. And, there's an element there of sort of like the ocean, right? A woman is like an ocean and a storm, and it can be calm and then up and then down, and it's just like all over the place, right? And for those of us that have had traumatic experiences, in our past, or with mothers that were not contained in their emotions. So as much as the feminine feels, and she's allows herself to feel, and I'll go into this a little bit more, when we've grown up with mothers that are erratic in their feelings, and they're all over the place. So that's the unhealthy feminine, right? The unhealthy feminine does not know how to sort of feel her emotions. She doesn't know how to process them. And let's just say she's just very erratic, right? What's going to happen is we're not going to feel safe in our emotions then. And so some of you, and in light of recent events, have messaged me on Instagram, and have messaged me on social media, and have been witnessing firsthand my experience with what's going on in the world, because it is really my duty, I feel, to show up authentic in a world of really inauthenticity, right? Online it's just so inauthentic. And for me, I really want to not just communicate what the feminine is, but really just show up as I am, so that you can really have an experience of it. And you guys have been seeing my own process what's been going on, because I've been very raw about it. Now, some of you have been messaging and saying that, you know, my experience of what's been going on has helped you to not moving into numbing, or that some of you are not able to really feel. And for those of you that have messaged me that, I do know your own experience, so I know why that's happening, and I'm going to communicate that here for everyone so that others of you that aren't able to also tap into what's going on can see if this relates. What happens is when we witnessed our mothers being very erratic, very uncontrolled with their emotions, very reactive, very manipulative, what happens with us is we will shut down that aspect of ourselves. So because it won't feel safe to feel our emotions anymore, we are going to feel that if we feel anything, either we're going to go completely into depression, and that was my situation. For those of you guys that know my story, I get into this more in the books, but because I am very feminine in my nature, before I did a lot of healing work and I've gone through a lot of traumatic experiences, my experience was going really into the feminine, right? And like the unhealthy feminine. Some people, what will happen is they'll have experiences where their mother was very erratic and she will move into sort of reaction, and it's just like a storm. It's unhealthy. It feels unsafe. And so witnessing that as a child, what will happen is either we will mimic that, which was my experience, or we will do the opposite and we will shut down, right? So women that are more in the, let's say, masculine energy, so the healthy masculine energy, which is like they feel safe, right? They're just cut off from their emotions. They're not going to be able to feel what's going on in the world, and they're going to be more numb, right? Because to them, feeling doesn't feel safe, and they don't know how to connect to that aspect of themselves, right? And our nervous system sometimes, so a lot of times when I do one-on-one work with women, it really is teaching them how to be safe within themselves so that the nervous system feels safe. So when we start to feel safe within ourselves, only then we can give a man the experience of feeling safe, right? Because that first comes from ourselves. We have to allow ourselves to feel everything. We have to heal our nervous system, and we have to really become aware of ourselves. And when we do that and we feel safe and we love ourselves in this way, then we can be with a man and allow ourselves to really be ourselves and invite him into that experience. Because again, men love emotions and the feeling, etc. So how do you know you have an open heart? And a woman that has an open heart, or a man that has an open heart, is able to connect with experiences outside of themselves, and is really able to feel true empathy and feelings of sadness and sorrow for other people outside of themselves. So when we're in ego, we're all about ourselves, right? When we are in ego, we are not able to connect with the human experience, really, right? We can notice, okay, well, world events are happening, but oh well, they don't really concern me, and you know, I have things to do, and we sort of disconnect, we disassociate, right? And what can also happen is we're shut off, right? So we're shut off from feeling. So sometimes events are really painful. We don't want to look at it. We don't want to see it. And maybe we're just trapped in our head about certain things, right? When you're in your heart and you're really leading from your heart, you feel everything, right? You feel immense pain for other people's suffering, and you don't really think about yourself, right? So thinking about yourself is not using your resources to help other people or to awaken the world, etc., right? Because you're thinking about yourself. You're thinking, well, if I post about this, what are people going to think about me? I don't want to lose money. I just want to continue, making money, doing things as they are, and kind of just ignore what's going on in the world, right? That's a space of ego, right? And some people will also say to you, well, we can't do anything about the outside world, and we need to be in peace and love. So again, that is bypassing your emotions, because in the present day, and really when it comes to spirituality, we want to be able to connect with what is happening in the moment. And so in the moment, when certain things are happening in the world, like people are losing their lives, etc., and it's being televised, it's not a time to be in love and light, because it's very imminent what's happening. So the feelings we will generally feel will be anger, frustration, sadness, shock. Those are the feelings we're going to feel, especially if we're in the feminine. And we're going to have deep empathy for other people that are sort of innocent in situations. Now, the ego aspect of us is not going to allow us to really feel, and the ego aspect of us is going to maybe only tap into one emotion, which is anger. When we are fixated on being angry, sometimes what will happen is we'll move into sides of a situation, right? When we're doing that, and when we catch ourselves doing that, we're not in our heart, right? The heart is not focused on sides. The heart is focused on humanity as a whole, and fairness and truth and love, right? That is what the heart is focused on. The ego is focused on righteousness, anger, vindication, revenge, those emotions. Now, of course, anger is going to be an aspect of the feminine and of your heart, right? When your heart is open, you're also going to feel anger, but you're not going to be stuck in anger. You're going to feel a whole slew of emotions, right? So emotions are transient, and especially for women, your emotions are going to be like a roller coaster, right? This is kind of what I've been experiencing this last week, right? You're all over the place, right? And this is how, when we are embodied, how it's going to feel like. It's not going to be one steady emotion, right? Because it can't be. Emotions are not, when we're stuck in emotion, so, you know, when we're, let's say we have healing work to do, we're going to be stuck in an emotion when we have healing work to do. We're not going to just be transient in our emotions, right? So our default emotional state is going to be stuck somewhere. That could be anger, that could be depression, that could be victimhood, whatever that is, right? When you're healthy and you're embodied and your heart is open, you're not going to be stuck in an emotion. Your emotions are going to be all over the place, right? Because that's how emotions work. So your default emotional state may be happy and peaceful and content. That's generally how it is when you are healthy or embodied, right? And the reflection of that is your life. So you will be with a healthy man, you'll be financially abundant, you will also be able to communicate and speak. So that's the throat chakra. When you've healed and you've done your inner work, you are not concerned with yourself. Again, you're able to speak from your heart, and you're able to share your truth without having to worry about the outlash of what that means, right? And your emotions are going to be transient. So they're going to be all over the place, but you're not going to be stuck in one place, right? This is what it means to have an open heart. And when we have an open heart, again, we're not going to be concerned with sides, because, you know, when you really have an open heart, you're able to tap into the bigger picture of what's going on, and that could be people sort of losing their lives and the innocent people, right? When we're angry or we're not feeling anything, right? And this is such a beautiful time in the world to look at how everyone is responding, which is what I've been doing. To me, it's very interesting that some people are not responding at all and sort of moving about as business as usual. To me, that is extremely selfish and egoic, because when something is going on in the world that is as big as this, and innocent people are losing their lives, and it's being televised for the world to see, and we're not doing anything about it, we're not even sharing about it, we're not even speaking about it, we are literally letting negative things kind of just happen in front of our eyes, and innocent people are losing their lives, and that is just blatantly wrong. On the other side, you're seeing people really come out with an extreme view of one side, right? Again, that is not healthy, and you can be for the people in any place, right? In Israel and in Palestine, which is kind of where I'm at. I'm for the people, right? I'm not for any state. I'm not for any government. I'm for the people. But when you are vehemently taking one position, for one state, let's say, whichever one that is, right? The state is not the people, right? The state is not the Israelis. The state is not the Palestinian people, right? Those are civilians. The state is the governments on each side, right? You're an ego. And when you're seeing people come out vehemently for one side, that again is not the heart, that's the ego. So it's a very interesting time to observe what's going on in the world, to open up your own awareness, and to really connect with your heart. Now, a way to do this is to look at the brutality of what is going on, like really just look at it, right? And allow yourself to feel the sadness and the emotions that are coming up for innocent lives that are being affected by this. I urge you to look at other sources outside of what we see in mainstream media, because it is extremely biased. And so I urge you to look on in other sources. And if you need help with that, definitely message me on Instagram. It's really good to have a broad overview of what is going on in the world versus just a narrow-minded view, and allow yourself to connect with the emotions when you're looking at certain images of people losing their lives, and feel into that, right? Feel into that. And if you really do this effectively, you're going to feel a lot of sorrow for innocent people, right? And this is how you know you have an open heart. The more that you are able to do this from a genuine place, the more you're going to be attractive to the opposite sex, because the opposite sex is attracted to vulnerability. The opposite sex is attracted to, vulnerability, and really being able to connect with, when you're able to experience the emotions that you are feeling within, you're going to be able to do that with a man. And that is what is extremely attractive and sexy to a man. Okay, my loves, I will see you on the next one.